this ends day 2 of my writing session. The 5 o'clock, I'm starting to get, my alarm is set for 4:45. I'm still laying in a bed until 5. And by the time I make my lemon water and cayenne and get a drink of water and light my candle and get an incense burning, find a little something to listen to on YouTube, it's about 5:19. So I'm loving the 5 o'clock in the morning sessions just because the day hasn't gotten to me yet, and my mental is a lot more alert, So I think this is we're gonna stay here. I think this is where we're gonna live for the unforeseeable future. Yeah. Yeah. So today's writing session was good. It started out a little slow though. Like, I feel like I had to struggle for the words this morning. I'm so proud of myself for making it this far, but let me turn down this music. I've been, just a little side note, I've been kind of grooving to house music. Want to shout out the DJ Lesson Focus. He does deep house. This was the deep house and garage, jazzy, soulful, laid back groove. So I was like, because my novel is going to incorporate house music in the playlist, so that's been sort of my inspiration. And so anyway, a lot of background, but anyway, today it like I said, it started out a little slow. I'm getting acclimated to this 5 in the morning. It's quite, normally I'm turning around, I'm in the bed and like, trying to decide if I'm gonna get up, but I'm getting there. My body is starting to adjust to waking up. So I suspect by the end of the week, I should be where I'm trying to go as far as my body being able to wake up. But yeah, the writing started out slow. Like, I had to struggle for the words. I had to struggle to create the scene that I wanted to create. But like maybe around midway, scenes start popping up in my head, and I was like, okay, there it is. And then I found it. I found the pocket. And that's what you'll find sometimes. Sometimes you will flow like a gazelle in your writing. And then there'll be times where you're just like, oh my God. And I promise you, you just have to keep writing. Just keep writing. Even if it's trash, even if you struggle to type type of work. Just keep going, and that later you can edit, you can do what you need to do, but just keep writing and you'll find that pocket, and then the scene will unfold. The other thing that I found so helpful, I talked about this in my last video, where having charting out these last few scenes, or the last few chapters rather, has been so helpful, because now I have a guidepost. And I think once I remembered the guidepost, because I found myself in this particular chapter, now chapter 50, let me see. Yes, now chapter 50, go me. At first I found it, going long, and then I pulled out my sheet that I have, and I was like, oh my God, I don't have to go long, because I still have to print stuff out. Y'all doing stuff on computer, I can't, because I look at a computer all day. So, regular old analog paper and pen works for me. But yeah, but once I knew, I was like, okay, that's where we're going. Then I was like, okay, I'm there. I am there. I got it. And I was able to end the scene, but end it in a cute way. So we gonna keep it going. It is Wednesday, and yeah, we're gonna keep it going. All right, onward and upward, onward and upward. So, I got started late today. I was really tired. Like, I think I went to bed around 1 o'clock in the morning. And so with only 4 hours of sleep, my body is now acclimating to the 5 o'clock, because yes, my alarm rung at 4:45, and then I still had tiredness just dragging my eyes, and I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to be able to make it. So I stayed in bed till about 5:06 or so. And by the time I made my water, I didn't even do my lemon and cayenne this morning. I made some bubbly water, which you saw, and just came to the desk. So by the time I really sat down, it was maybe about 5:45, 5:55, something like that. And it's now about 7:18. So I was able to get my 15 minutes in of, reviewing the chapter, which surprisingly, the chapter before yesterday, I told you all that it was a little hard. Like, it was hard. But when I read it, I was like, oh, okay, this is not too bad. Sometimes you'll write something that, you'll be struggling with the words, but when you go back the next day, it's not as bad as you think. So don't keep going. Just keep writing, and it'll all sort of balance out. So going into this next chapter, it was a little bit easier to flow into it, but I like this character, Ma Lucille. I like her so much. She is I swear she is. Whenever I sit down to write for her character, it's as if I can see in vivid colors. Like for my main female character, I'm still, which is weird because I'm like, 50, I think I'm at 50 chapters now. Like sometimes it's hard to write for Callahan, which I'm sure in my drafts, after I read the story, once it's up, the first draft is finished and I read through the story, I would get a better sense of her. But it's so weird because Ma Lucille, who's sort of like a supporting character, when I sit down and write for her, it's like I am shown colors and smells and, it's like she just owns her space, owns her narrative. So she was a lot more easier to write for, and she always is. I am looking forward to closing out this episode. So I wrote my novel in episodes. So episode 1, I think, ended around chapter 20. Episode 2 is going to end at this, I think, chapter 50. No, chapter 50. Y'all, I don't know. I gotta look. But Ma Lucille, the episode 2 is going to end with Ma Lucille closing it out. So I'm really excited about ending this episode because it's been really long. Not episode, season. I wrote it in seasons. I get that so mixed up. So seasons. I wrote my novel in seasons. So season 1, Ma Lucille's going to end out season 2. And my character Corinne is going to open up season 3. And season 3 really is sort of is where the climax is going to come, and then the falling action or falling actions or scenes. So I'm excited to go into this new season 3. The one thing I am happy to report is that I had the goal of writing 3 chapters, and I have, after tomorrow, when I finish this chapter 51, I think it is, I will have met my goal. So that is just awesome. That is absolutely awesome. As far as wording in these last 3 days, as far as word count, I can honestly say I've hit about, it's going to probably be close to like 3,000, maybe 4,000 words. So that is just amazing too. And I'm still been able to keep my chapters short. I love short chapters because it just keeps, for me as a reader, and as a writer, it keeps me interested. And I've heard other readers say that they like short chapters. It's more digestible. Anyway, this ends out day 3. And we're going to Saturday because Monday I started writing, but I didn't record that one. So I kind of mashed in Monday and Tuesday. Monday with Tuesday's writing. But I'm going to go to Saturday so we can get a full 5 days, and then I'll close out this 5 a.m. to 7 a.m. and sometimes you're late vlog on what it looks like to change your writing schedule. All right, y'all. See you soon. Friday. This was really a great writing session, and I'm happy to report that I have finished season 2. Whew. I feel like this was such a long season, but it was just, as far as chapters in my writing, but this middle section I really needed to play it up. I really needed to play it up into a building. And I may even switch, looking at season 1, I may even break this up, but that comes all in edits. I might even break season 2 into 2 seasons, so it'll be season 2 and 3. So this final season or the next group of chapters that I write maybe would be season 4. But anyway, I have officially finished the second section, and as far as my body is finally like, oh, so it's really not 4 o'clock in the morning because we had a time change. And so I think this week I was so tired every day, like just struggling. And so this is the first time in this week where it wasn't a struggle. It wasn't as hard to get out of bed. So just grand total for words written within the week is 4,012 words, which really is big for me, because I was averaging maybe 2,000 words a week, which that's not bad, but it is when you're trying to finish a novel. And so I'm just using this as lessons learned for when I start a new project, which I'm really going to start brainstorming the sequel to in the next lifetime. But yeah, it lets me know what I'm capable of, and it's interesting because I think in some ways, and I think other authors would say this, you do have this sort of there is this imposter sort of, can I really write thing that gnaws. I know it gnaws at the back of my head all the time. And so making myself come and face my novel every day really did a lot for my confidence as a writer. So I was going to make myself try to write tomorrow, but I think I'm going to open up the next week with starting season 3 or season 4, and give myself a chance to just kind of read and and pour back into myself, because this was such a pouring out. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up all tomorrow morning, Saturday, with lessons learned and reflections, and we did it. I did it. You can do it too. All right, y'all. So we made it to Saturday. I noticed that I always start the video with so. It's just a sigh of relief. So got to Saturday. It's snowing here in Chicago. It's a dreary day, kind of flurries, and just reflecting on 5 good points of reflection on deciding to switch my writing time. If this appeals to you, especially if you work a 9 to 5 as I do, I would suggest switching to a morning time, because your ideas are fresh. One of the 5 things that I really appreciated about writing in that time slot is just the ritual of it, and creating a ritual out of that writing time. So getting up and, making my tea, making sure I get, water to flush my, system, lighting the incense, lighting the candles. Like, it really became a ritual where I felt like I could sink into and felt very safe. So, the suggestion here would be to, create a ritual, and, a ritual of any sorts. You may, adorn your space. So I, have, bought some flowers for myself, for my desk. The one thing too that was interesting, like by the end of the week, my desk is small, but my desk looks like a cyclone has clearly ran through it. And so stuff is dropping off. But one of the things that was a part of the ritual is every time I would get up, like you respect an altar, I would make sure that I cleaned my space. And so this week, for the first time, my desk wasn't a war zone. So making a ritual of the time, the writing time is really helps to set this as a priority in your spirit. The second thing I would say is a learning lesson for me was persisting, even when the words was like, it was hard to grab the words. I can't say that every morning I sat down. Not really one time I sat down where the words was like blah all across the page. It was not. I did a lot of backspacing at times, and sometimes it was I had the picture in my head, but I just couldn't find the words to communicate. So just keep sitting there, and the words will eventually come. And give yourself the grace to know that the words may not come. And even the words that come may not be the words at the final edit of your novel, or at the final publishing of your novel. But you have the framework. And what was interesting, I found that, like, once I just sat down, like I said before, it wasn't so bad. Like, it was like, oh, you said exactly what you wanted to relay. And give or take a few words, adding in some. And then sometimes, when you do that morning read through before you start writing, ideas flesh out, words come back. Like, it's something about that process, and you just have to be patient with yourself on those days. The third thing was I had to be open to the change of direction, either by the action in the narrative or in what the characters were wanting to do, while still keeping my outline in mind. I had to be okay when there was a pivot, but had to also wrangle it back in so that it wouldn't go off the rails. So be open and flexible enough to allow a shift, and be creative enough, and using that sort of logical side of your brain to bring it back to where you're trying to go, which is to get to the end in this first draft. Just to reiterate the point that I just made, just be sure to stick with your plot, because you will write into infinity if you don't, or Xfinity. No, Xfinity is the company. Infinity. I think it's infinity. But you'll just be writing, and you'll never get to the end. And that's what I found myself doing. So make sure, like, I literally have, let me just show you. I literally have my plot right here, so that before I start, I know where I'm going. While I'm writing, I know where I'm going and how I need to end. So just make sure you stick to that. Stick to your plot. And I think that the last and final thing is rest. Y'all gonna hear me talk about rest. Today I didn't write, and I think I said it in one of my last summaries. I was going to make myself write today, but I'm not, because I hit my goal. My goal was to write 3 chapters. I wrote the 3 chapters. My goal was to wake up at, in the 5-ish hour, and I'm saying the 5-ish hour, but to wake up in the 5-ish hour and to complete at least 2 hours or hour and a half to 2 hours of writing a day. I did that. I didn't have a word count in mind, but I hit 4,000 words, which is great. So for me, it was a win-win. And this resting period is allowing me the time to think about where my plot is going, or where I'm going. Think about my plot, where the story is going. It gives me the chance to kind of mentally brainstorm on how I'm going to meander through the next season, which will probably be season 4. I did talk about me breaking season 2 down into 2 seasons, so that I'll be in season 4. But it just gives myself a chance to rest and reflect. And so during this time, I'm reading, I'm watching shows, I'm listening to conversations, I'm watching people out in public. And so all of that is feeding next week's goals of 3 chapters. Hopefully we hit 5,000 or so words, and we get into this last and final season before I'm able to end this first draft. So just to recap, thank you so much for joining me in this vlog. It's my first time doing a vlog, so I'm kind of excited about it. But thank you for joining me in this vlog. And if you work a 9 to 5 and you're finding that you're fried after work, consider doing a morning time session of your writing, so that you can get the most in the first fruits of your brain and your creativity. If you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, and once again, thank you for stopping by. I'll see you very, very soon.